Ethan Cole never expected the deal of a lifetime to feel like a curse. The ranch stretched across 100 acres of dry grassland beneath a merciless afternoon sun, sold to him for the absurd price of $1. The fence leaned tiredly against the wind, and the farmhouse sat far back from the road, quiet and solemn, as if it had been holding its breath for years. 3 hours after signing the papers, Ethan stepped inside the house for the first time, and that was when he heard it. Soft footsteps. Upstairs. Slow. Careful. Intentional. Ethan froze just inside the doorway, one hand still wrapped around the cold brass handle. The seller, Ray Boone, had sworn the place was abandoned. No souls lived there in years, he'd said, never quite meeting Ethan's eyes. But someone was here. A young woman appeared at the top of the staircase. Her dark hair hung loosely over her shoulders, and she wore a faded dress patched more than once. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She simply looked down at him with a calm that felt unsettling, like someone who had been waiting for this exact moment. "So," she said evenly, "you must be the man who bought the ranch." Ethan swallowed. "And you are?" "Lena Harper. I've been looking after this place." His thoughts spiraled. Looking after it for who? Boone said this house was empty. She descended the stairs slowly, her movements controlled. "Ray Boone doesn't know everything about this land," she replied. "Some things run deeper than paperwork." She pulled back a curtain, revealing the endless prairie outside. "I've lived here for 3 years. Fixed the roof. Kept the well clean. Repaired the fences. This ranch kept me alive when I had nowhere else to go." Ethan felt the future he'd planned begin to shift beneath his boots. 5 years of saving. 5 years of loneliness. This ranch, broken and forgotten, was supposed to be his fresh start. "Why sell it for $1? He asked quietly. Lena turned back to him, fear flickering across her face for the first time. "Because Boone isn't the only one who knows I'm here," she said. "And the others aren't coming to negotiate." Hoofbeats rolled faintly across the land. They both went still. Lena peered through the window. 3 riders approached along the trail, too deliberate to be travelers. "They're not supposed to be here yet," she whispered. "But if they're who I think they are, they've already found me." Ethan set his satchel down. "Who are they?" "Men who think I stole something from them," she said. "Something they've been hunting me for since my father died." "Did you steal it?" She met his gaze. "I took back what was already mine." She knelt beside the hearth, pried up a loose floorboard, and pulled out a leather pouch and a bundle of aged papers. "My father's mining claim," she explained. "The real deed. Survey maps proving ownership of the richest gold vein in the territory. They forged documents and killed him for it." Ethan stared at the maps, precise, detailed, drawn by a man who knew the land like blood in his veins. "That's worth a fortune. And a death sentence," she replied. A sharp whistle cut through the air. One rider dismounted and approached the porch. His hand rested casually near his revolver. "Lena Harper," he called. "Let's finish this peacefully." Ethan stepped onto the porch before she could answer. "This is private property," he said. "You're trespassing." The man smiled without warmth. "Name's Cole Mercer. We're just here to reclaim something that was taken. You don't have a warrant." Mercer chuckled. "We don't need one." Behind Ethan, the house creaked softly. Lena was hiding the documents again, buying time. Mercer's patience thinned. "Step aside, friend." "No." The gun came up fast. Cold steel pressed against Ethan's forehead. Then new thunder broke across the valley. More riders. Fast. Determined. A voice rang out. "Mercer. Drop the weapon." Badges glinted in the sun. "The sheriff." Mercer's grip trembled. "This isn't finished," he snarled, then shoved Ethan aside and turned his gun. Shots cracked the air. Mercer fell. Silence followed. Justice arrived late, but it arrived. 2 hours later, the ranch was quiet again. The sheriff promised protection. The documents would see the inside of a courthouse at last. As the sun sank behind the hills, Ethan and Lena stood on the porch together. "So," Ethan said, "I guess you'll be leaving." She smiled faintly. "I've been taking care of this place for 3 years. Seems wrong to abandon it now." "It's my ranch," he said. "You bought it for $1, she replied. "And it came with help." He considered the land, the house, the quiet, and for the first time in years, the idea of not being alone. "Partners?" he asked. She took his hand. "Partners." And under the first stars of night, they walked back inside, ready to build something neither of them had planned, but both of them needed. 3 nights passed after the sheriff rode away, and by the fourth, Ethan understood something was wrong. The ranch was too quiet. Just before dawn, a sudden barking erupted from the old cattle dog they had found in the barn. The sound was sharp, frantic, then it stopped. Ethan was out of bed instantly, rifle in hand. Moonlight washed the land in pale silver as he scanned the southern fence line. That's when he saw it. A lantern flame flickering, then vanishing. Someone was out there. Lena joined him on the porch, already dressed, her face tense. "They're testing us," she whispered. "The Maddox brothers don't rush. They wait." The first shot came from the dark, with splintered inches from Ethan's head. He fired back, not to hit, but to warn. Shadows scattered across the field. Horses snorted. Men shouted low, controlled, professionals. "They're not here for me," Lena realized suddenly. "They're here to burn the evidence." Smoke rose from the barn. Ethan ran. Flames crawled up the drywood faster than fear could keep pace. Inside the barn, hidden beneath a loose beam, was the final ledger, his father's handwritten journal, detailing every bribe, every forged signature, every murder tied to the mine. Ethan dragged it free just as the roof collapsed inward. By sunrise, the attackers were gone. They left behind scorched earth, a dead horse near the creek, and a message carved into the fence. "This land is still ours." Lena stared at the words, hands shaking. "They'll never stop." "Yes," Ethan said quietly. "They will." 2 days later, they rode east. At the territorial capital, the ledger changed everything. Judges who had once looked the other way suddenly remembered the law. Warrants were issued. Accounts frozen. The Maddox empire began to collapse under the weight of its own crimes. But victory came at a cost. One night, as Lena stood alone on the courthouse steps, a gunshot cracked the air. The bullet missed, but the message was clear. Protection arrived the next morning. Not from lawmen, but from the land itself. Miners, ranchers, widows, and laborers whose lives had been ruined by the Maddox brothers came forward. Witness after witness. Story after story. A wall of truth no amount of gold could silence. Months later, the trials ended. The Maddox brothers were sentenced. Their minds seized. Their name erased from the territory's future. When Ethan and Lena returned to the ranch, spring had come. Grass reclaimed the burned fields. New fences stood straight and strong. The house breathed again. They rebuilt the barn together. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Lena placed her father's journal into a locked chest beneath the floor. "For memory," she said. "Not fear." Ethan nodded. "This land won't be owned by blood anymore." As the wind rolled across the open plains, the ranch finally felt what it had been waiting for all along. Not an owner, but guardians. And for the first time since it was sold for $1, the land was truly free. Don't forget to subscribe, press like, and write in the comments from which country you are watching.